we are probably about to head into Champion Select. Here we are at last in the grand finals of this Pathfinders 2. G2 Hell on the blue side, while Big Chroma are on the red side. And first bans are coming through. Lilia banned from Big Chroma and Rek'Sai. J-Real, there you go. Yeah. There you have your Rek'Sai. What should we expect for the last bans, J-Real?
So they may leave Ivan up from the side of G2 Hell. I'm not sure if they'll ban it away. I know that it's one that Treads has played against him quite well. I think the Maokai being taken away, I think a lot of the jungle priority, to be honest, is pretty fair. I'm really interested to see if G2 leave up Tristana though, because that is one that I'm expecting the Big Chroma pick up if they get any opportunity to. So that will be the one that I'm really looking for from G2. From Big Chroma, I think keep banning out Sheena's champion pool. Try and put them on something that they're uncomfortable with.
Okay, that makes sense. And it should be something to work that will work on this last series. I mean, so flexibility being banned here as well. Big Chroma took that Rel off. They took that Ahri off as well. Ivern on the other side was banned, and G2 Hell have this B1. Will it be side? Solari, what do you feel is going to happen here?
I would not be surprised with the top lane being the first pick for G2 Hell. They want to put Lizzie on something as comfortable as possible. Last time we saw the Ornn being first pick, but now it's going to be the side, and I quite like it. The proactivity. The front lane is already available and open for G2 Hell. The question is, what are Big Chroma going to throw against it? Because Chroma has comfort picks like Renekton still available.
And we have Xerath and Nocturne as an answer on the red side. J-Real, you are excited. I can see that you are excited about these picks.
Yeah, that's a lot of global. That's a lot of semi-global stuff, right? Paranoia plus the Right of the Arcane. That's a lot of long-range teamfighting capability. Now we're seeing the Jarvan and the Neeko. We're seeing the G2 want to get a little bit more up close and personal, right? The Sion charging in, the Jarvan jumping through as well. Getting Sheena on that early game pick, I really like it. And then as we said, Tifa picking something that doesn't have too many counter picks. Can also be flexed into the bot lane as well if Columbia wants to play that too. Nautilus though, I really like that counter. It's a good, strong engage and can then set the fight up for Big Chroma.
So in this case, Xayah being banned as well as Ornn. I'm a little bit surprised about this Ornn and Gnar bans since they picked Sion. Can G2 Hell flex this Sion, Solari?
If they really want to, the Sion can go either into Tifa hands on the mid lane with Neeko rotating to Columbable, or it can be the Columbable pick actually with this Sion, which I wouldn't honestly see happening for G2 Hell, but you never know what exactly is going to come out of either of them. But now Big Chroma are picking, and I really want to see a long-range AD carry from them, because they already have a long-range engage, and they need to make sure that when they engage from the long range, they shut down somebody immediately, because otherwise G2 Hell are going to turn it way around onto them. And if this actually happens, it has happened, and I'm quite happy with this one.
Ooh.
Okay, J-Real, you are not happy. Why aren't you happy?
I think the Ezreal's a little bit of an interesting one. It's a very different look that Big Chroma are going for. If we were going to look at Pokecoms, I would have expected it to come out of G2 Hell. They've locked in, though, the Zeri and the Rakan. I do quite like this duo. I think putting a lot of emphasis onto Kaltis, giving her something that she can really play around the team fights with. Very, very smart from them. As Big Chroma looking in that last pick, how will they decide to go for it? They're going to go Jace! An aggressive pick for Chromac. I like it.
Okay. I'm up for it. Definitely up for it. Now we have the scaling tools, we have the engaging tools for both sides, playmaking tools. We do have lots of things going on here, so let's break it down. Let's start off by talking about G2 Hell, talking about what does this composition need to do from the early stages of the game up until the mid, up until the late stages. Sorry, maybe you can go first.
Now, the thing is, we again have the situation where all the lanes just want to sit back and relax and wait until the scaling is going to hit for them. Especially it is the case for the bot lane, because I am having a very strong deja vu from the first game in the previous series that we saw from G2 Hell today. They are again putting all the eggs into the Cultist basket with a little bit of the plan B potential from Tifa being on that Neeko. But first of all, it's a lot of emphasis on everything going well for Cultist, and second of all, at the same time, while they have all the lanes who don't really want to be too aggressive aggressive, they have J-Fu, who of course is going to be utilitarian jungler no matter how the game goes, but ideally he wants to have things accelerated in the early game. He's not the jungler who just sits back and farms, so I'm feeling a little bit of a mismatch there for G2 that I cannot crack open.
I honestly like the Rakan and Jarvan duo, because I think Rakan is a support that can roam a lot. Maybe not with this Zeri, but that's why I'm a bit confused as well. But I think it's a really important pair to control those objectives, to control that vision. So I think they could play also around that. But J-Real, let's talk a little bit about the other side. Let's talk a little bit about the idea of Big Chroma's composition and what they should be doing with them.
Well, they have put it. Science still delivered. They have said on a stamp exactly what they want to do. They want to poke out G2. They don't want to get into a close up and personal fight. They want to be very far away and just say, no, you're going to die before you even get close to us. They picked Jace, Xerath, Ezreal. Need I say more? They also have the Nautilus that can play frontline. He can lock up the Zeri, he can keep them away, and they also have the Nocturne to turn out the lights so that they can't get engaged on. I like the comp a lot, but it's very interesting to see how they execute it, because this isn't what we've seen from Big Chroma. This isn't the normal playstyle, and a bit of a switch up is going to make things a little bit interesting. And you mentioned the Jarvan, Rakan, they will have a lot of ways to get in, so can they be stopped? The question I have for you, Anna, though, is what is the duo called? Is it Jakar? Is it Rakarvin? Or is it Jakan?
That is a question that I've never thought about before. Thank you so much for putting it that way. I don't like any of them. It doesn't sound right. I don't know. You just threw me the hardest question of this whole tournament, I think. But let's focus then on what you predicted. On Big winning this series, okay? Yeah. You also predicted that it wouldn't be a clean 2-0. So are Big going to take the first game, or are G2 Hell starting off with the right foot and then it's going to be a reverse sweep?
I think the power's in Big's hands. I think they are the ones that will basically dictate the game, and it's up to them to not make the mistakes. I think that G2 have picked themselves a comp that, as Solari said, is kind of sitting back. They are scaling. Yes, the Jarvan is going to be proactive. I expect that a lot from Sheena. But realistically, they are going to have a very tough time around objectives if Big play it properly.
Solari, do you agree?
I think it's easier for Big to win this game just by the draft. They don't need to commit to anything, but the last two picks from them, I really love how the team composition is starting to look like. They could go into very many different ways, but in the end they decided to commit into a lot of poke, which means they're going to be super effective against G2. Because G2, yes, they're going to have a little bit of the front lane, but both Tifa and Cultist especially are going to be super squishy and super susceptible to that poke flying out of Big's side, which means Big should on paper have control over all the objectives, over all the rivers.
But at the same time, that they can be outplayed.
Yeah.
And I think that both comps, I usually prefer a lot of playmaking comps, more team fighting-esque kind of comps, because both comps can go really wrong. If you fail on getting those picks, if you fail on getting those main targets, it can go so wrong. But without further ado, the floor is yours for the first match between Big Chroma and G2 Hell. J-Real, Solari, take it away.
Thank you very much, Anna, as we kick it off into the finals. G2 versus Big Chroma. And I agree, Solari. I agree with what Anna said. I think if Big Chroma, they don't get ahead, they don't get those leads on this poke comp, it could be problematic. And talking about problematic, we have a bit of a weird invade.
Yeah, that's very G2 style, to be honest. Trying to find some ways to the top lane, not finding absolutely anybody. Maybe right now rotating towards the jungle. If they find Nautilus, for Trace is going to be no good whatsoever, but Chromac knows exactly what's going on.
That is such a cheeky place to stand, and they're going to know that Lysia is in this bush, and I really, really like this from Chroma. I'm just hoping that they don't get found out there playing the dangerous game. As we see, it's going to be Tifa that just walks straight past them, no one checking that one, and it will give them, as you said, a lot of information. Now, talk about information, we do see a couple of deep wards there from G2, and I want to talk about Sheena, right? I talked about them a lot about the games yesterday, how they were really proactive, they got big leads for the team. Where do you want to see, and how do you envisage them doing the same in this game?
Now, that is what I am struggling to answer at the time being. Looking at the G2 team composition, they don't really want to be overly aggressive anywhere on the lanes. It is going to be super hard for Zeri to get things going pre-level 6. It's going to be hard for Tifa to be overly aggressive on the Vixen, who knows how to pilot that Zeri really damn well and has a lot of range. And on the top lane with Jace, again, it's super hard to do anything. But out of those 3 lanes, I think a bot lane is actually the most possible one for Sheena to try to get things going. She doesn't need to get Cultist accelerated, but it would be really nice to start stacking up the items for Zeri as early in the game as possible. At the same time, trying to shut down Ezreal's Ascent to the very same idea.
Yeah, and one thing I'm also struggling with is how they turn this into successful teamfights later, right? Because we talked a little bit with Anna about, okay, yes, if the poke comp doesn't manage to get itself going, if they don't manage to pick up items and they can't get themselves in the right position before a team fight, then yes, they're going to struggle, it's going to be a little bit difficult. But you don't just pick a poke comp that you've never played before, right? This is something that Big has definitely practiced. And my take for G2 is that Countess, yes, she's playing the Zeri, yes, it's going to be very, very hard to catch them, but they also have to get into range of this comp to do damage, and it feels like that's going to be quite inaccessible.
Oh yeah, you don't really get to Chroma that easily. You don't really get to Vixen ever whatsoever, full stop. With Ezreal, it's a little bit easier because Ezreal in general doesn't really have too much of his own range apart from the ultimate. Oh my goodness, the hooks are getting exchanged here and there already. This bot lane is looking spicy, just like this top lane.
Oh, Sheena going for this gank onto Chromac. A little bit low on mana. They're going to jump down with the hammer, swinging it, knocking Sheena back and dodging out from Lysia. And Chromac, if they had a bit more mana, maybe they go for the play there, but smartly keeps it safe, gets out of dodge, and doesn't even have to use flash.
It's a good idea to try to punish Jace for overusing the mana on the lane, because the mana costs for Jace in the laning phase are absolutely ridiculous. But for Sheena going into the lane with such low health and trying to commit onto Jace immediately looked exceptionally risky. And she's going back now.
Ooh, I will say no mana on Chromac. Could make this tough though. Sheena about the same HP as the Jace. Going to force the flash away as Sion almost managed to get that one dodge. It still doesn't dodge the knockup. And that is a huge gap from Sheena. Patience pays off and manages to get first blood.
A very risky move, but in the end, yes, it does pay off massively. Curry is going to come back to the lane and will need to sacrifice a teleport to get back, because Lysia is pushing in nicely and strongly with Sheena right now. A very big top lane prior for G2 already secured.
Oh, but this wave is massive. The fact that Chroma can catch this in is a blessing. They haven't lost out on too much and should actually build quite a big lead over Lysia off of that wave alone. But no TP, no flash. We might be seeing Sheena come back.
Yes, we might just see Sheena trying to punish the lack of flash on Chromac a little bit later in the game. Lysia still does have the flash, has the teleport, has the Arcane Comet to make sure that the damage output on the lane is going to be a little bit higher than you could have anticipated from the tank top lane. But let's see what is going to be the plan here, because Trez, in the meantime, is in the enemy jungle, clearing it up, making sure that when Sheena comes here, she finds nothing.
And Lysia is going to find them, but then they shouldn't be able to catch them up here. It should be Trez getting away, although no blast cone might make this a little more tricky. Going to get slowed down, but Trez will be able to just walk out of this one alive. Lysia not going to be willing to flash over that wall, as we now see Tifa, who is pretending to be Countess, go towards that mid lane. And I'm quite impressed with Trez, right? Because when we last saw them play the Nocturne, they were getting bullied around. They were trying to find angles to get more farm, but they were getting caught out. They were giving leads over to the other team. But now they've managed to get themselves a huge lead over this Jarvan. They're already almost like 4 camps ahead, which is pretty massive.
And it is so damn important for Trez and for the whole team of Big Chroma right now, because Trez needs to be ahead. Trez needs to get to the items. Trez needs to become the assassin later in the game, because if Nocturne doesn't shut down somebody flying into the enemies, this is going to be a dead Nocturne pretty much immediately. There is no reliable follow-up apart from this Nautilus, and maybe a little bit of the Jace jumping in, but Jace definitely cannot jump as far away as Nautilus can go with the Paranoia. Not Nautilus, sorry, Nocturne. So for Trez, it is important right now to be ahead to make sure that when they inevitably decide to go on to cultists in those big team fights, because they have to, let's face it, they will be able to shut cultists down on the spot.
Yeah, Zeri can run away all they want, but fear hides from no woman. And Zeri definitely not immune to that one either, so going to be a little bit cautious around that one. Dragons obviously has been quite a big role, I would say, in the whole of the Pathfinders 2 and just generally League of Legends. So hold 1 second, because here's another gank onto the top side. We talk about Chroma getting a bit of jungle attention from Sheena, and we're seeing it once again. Flash forward, not the auto! She didn't get the auto off, and now the turret, is it going to do enough damage? One more from it, it's going to kill Sheena, and the misplay means it's a 1-for-1 in the top side.
The idea was there. The idea to shut down Jace, because it's so hard for Jace to be playing from behind, is a brilliant one. But the execution was not necessarily there. Sheena jumping in and not being able to catch Chroma immediately means that it is 3 tower shots too many that she had to suffer through.
Yeah, and that also opens up for the Dragon. I was going to bring that one up a little bit, how Dragon control has been quite important for both these two teams. Now, seeing that Dragon picked up, I feel like if Big start to snowball these Drakes, they are going to put themselves in such a winning position. Not because of the soul, they don't even need to worry about that, but the fact that they're going to dictate G2 into fights against them, where they can use that poke comp, they can set themselves up, and basically get free team fight wins, it's going to be massive in my opinion.
We can see G2 really feeling good in the games when they are the ones dictating the pace of the game, dictating when the fights are going to happen, where they're going to happen, and when everybody's rotating towards the chosen objectives. When it doesn't happen for them, when they're the ones who need to be playing from behind, this is when G2 might find a little bit of struggles for themselves. This is not Sheena, but this is Sheena.
I just love that thought. It's just like, which one is it? Like, who's it going to be? And then you can even add a third of the mix there. I do love Nico, man. I wish Nico jungle was played a little bit more. But either way, this top side, they're trying to get a lot off of Chromac, right? They're really trying to put pressure on I don't know if they're necessarily trying to get Lead 0 ahead or just put the Jace down, but either way, they are committing quite a lot of resources. And I am a little bit surprised that G2 haven't spent any time bot yet.
So far, there was no pressure on the bot lane from Big Chroma, and there shouldn't be. Even with the Nautilus, it's not like Ezreal necessarily wants to go for a kill on Tuesday, especially now that she has level 6 unlocked for her. So for G2, the idea is our bot lane is, oh my god, the paranoia!
Ooh, Trez going aggressive here. It's going to allow it. Here comes the Pop Blossom to turn it around. Flash out from Trez does get them a little bit away, but there's the Cataclysm. Jarvan from the back line comes in, and Sheena locking them up has set up such a big kill. 1, 2, and we're going to see a third. Goodbye to the bot lane of Lumi, and they get out as well. G2 turning around a huge play.
Oh no!
True shot barrage. It goes wide.
Ooh, it doesn't. No, it doesn't go wide. It went as close as it gets to Columbo, but she still survived. Are they gonna fight right now on the top lane? Not the best time, to be honest, but for Lizzie it's fine because her team is taking the Herald at the very same time. But the fact that they're taking the Herald is because of how well this fight went for G2, and Sheena is a monster on this J4. This Cataclysm was on point, locking in 3 members of the enemy team, not letting them get away, because no flashes are going to save him when J4 is already locked onto you and is jumping right into your face. You can jump afterwards, you can flash afterwards all you want, but there is going to be a follow-up, and you just know that.
And it's a big turnaround in tempo, right? We were talking about how Big were playing the map smartly, they were keeping themselves at distance, and it was only really Chromac that was feeling the heat, but now Big plays, big fights in the mid lane, and break it out from Solari.
Oh, with great pleasure, to be honest, because Trace is jumping in, but Trace is still a very little Nocturne. Trace doesn't really have too much damage, and she cannot deal anything to anybody. And this is the moment where G2 are very thankful to everybody on their team to being so responsive to what is happening on the map. With 3 members, they can turn this around immediately. A lot of control, a lot of follow-up control coming in from Columbo, something we talked about. The combination of G4 plus Rakan from the bot lane is massive for G2, and is going to be a very big part of them winning the upcoming team fight if they continue to do what they just did on the mid lane.
Yeah, and I guess I got to ask you, for equality's sake, I got to ask you, is it Jakan or Rakarvin? What are you saying? What are you saying about that one?
Jakan is okay-ish, I guess.
You're not a fan. You're not really. It doesn't sound like your soul. On this duo,
No. It's not speaking to me. It's not really vibing. I don't know. Something is off with it.
Okay, well, we'll find out. We might try and get one. Let us know in chat what you think the switch up between Jarvan and Rakan is. But either way, back into this game, it has been a great setup, right? The Rakan Jarvan, we talked about it, how it is dangerous getting onto that backline. They showed already how dangerous it can be, especially when you have that Cataclysm.
Oh, whoa!
It's almost happening again, but Vixen, good flash, will get them safely out of that engage.
The reaction from Vixen is otherworldly. You can blink and miss this engage, and that would have been a very deadly engage because the Pole Blossom dropped immediately by Tifa the moment Sheena jumps in. Coordination on the side of G2 is absolutely insane, but Vixen's reflexes are going to save her to allow for a safer lane for the Xerath for the time being, but safer is an overestimation, to be fair, because a flash taken out of Xerath means that this mid laner right now is absolutely immobile, and you can try to punish him, especially having the engage from G4, having the Cataclysm on a super short cooldown. I can see G2 trying to have shenanigans on the mid lane again.
Yeah, they will shenan again. We'll have to wait for when they decide to do that. But it's just been exactly what we expected from Sheena, right? She's just been rotating around the map, getting ganks off. The only lane she hasn't been to is to bot lane, but she's been making it work mid, she's making it work top, and again, Chromac gonna be under some pressure here. I don't know if they dive, but it looks like they're down to do it, although actually the Herald just gonna be dropped. They might just look for the tower and potentially take Chromac after. Chromac now going to clear that wave, will get a little bit of safety. The tower may not fully fall. A little bit more damage is needed, and actually this could be quite dangerous for G2 because Lysia is under the tower and there is no Herald. Damage is going to be taken. They don't go down. Here's the right for the Arcane, and that is one shot needed that is landed by Vixen, and they managed to turn that one around. But in the bot lane now, Lumi going to be setting up for Trez. Here comes the Nocturne, the Fear going to connect, but under tower does go Countess a little bit safe as Colombo now trying to get away, but the damage from Countess is unreal, managing to pick up one, but here comes in Zabi. They're able to turn this one back around. Not going to give over too much. Trez again. Fear not going to connect before they get under tower. But it isn't all G2 all way.
Trez? Trez?
Yeah, Tifa was coming, man. Tifa was going to get that kill. There was no
Okay, yeah. Fair enough. We take it. It's a very honorable death. Maybe right now for Chromac as well?
I don't know about honorable. I think they're going to get put down. It's, oh, the knock away. Surely the Cataclysm comes out. Sheena just doesn't want to use the ultimate. They don't want to expend it, and they potentially lose this kill. They're now surging forward, and this could be a bit of overextension because of where Lumi is.
No. Lumi is waiting there. It's a trap. It's a trap. They go there, Sheena, but Sheena's already there.
And I think Sheena is just going to get out of this jungle. They don't want to find too many members, and unlucky there from Sheena, almost getting the kill. One more bit of damage would have done it, but another day lived for Chromac. And all in all, I feel like Big, we talked about how they needed to build a lead. So far, they haven't done it 14 minutes into the game.
Well, nobody has really built any decent lead anywhere. The jungle, of course, is a different support. Surprisingly, they're having a very nice difference in there as well, but the jungle is where the main difference is lying. 4-1-1 for Sheena, despite all the at times on the top lane that were going completely wrong. To be fair, the MVP of this game, the real MVP, has to be this outer turret on the side of Big Chroma on the top lane, because it has been saving Chromac's life so many times already, killing so many times, or almost killing G2 as well. So that was a really strong performance there, deserves an MVP from me at least. But G2 are effectively ahead right now. Not very much, but they are building up fairly. The only thing so far that they haven't been managing to do effectively, apart from the top lane ganks, is the Drakes. 2 Drakes in the hands of Big. A Soul is a very nice one. The Ocean Soul would help G2 quite a lot in those fights. They gotta fight for the next one.
Yeah, and I think this is where we start to see the power of Big come set up, because if they can start getting in position around the Drakes and start poking out the side of D2 before they can even get into the fight, they will start to command a lot more respect, a lot more control of the map. But it is still to be seen, and I said it, you know, it can go wrong. Poke comps can be misplayed quite easily, and so far it is G2 that do feel a little bit more in control. Sheena just having too much potential when it might happen again. Lumi gonna go aggressive, does get on to the backline. Countess already taken down, and the damage is massive. 2 kills straight over to Big, and G2 have no time to respond.
Chromac, Lysia having a little bit of revenge here, but Sheena is around. No, this looks like it's going to be a narrow approach to the Herald for G2 Hell. They lost Cultist, they lost Columbo, and they lost the second Herald of the game. But to be fair, the Cultist situation is starting to look a little bit worrying, because yes, she's still going to scale massively into late game. She's going to do a lot of damage. We already saw the damage output with just 1 item on the Zeri onto the enemies. However, I spoke about that in the previous game when it was about Zayas. I love when Zayas have the cleanse on them because it's a super important summoner spell for them. No cleanse on Cultist means that she's very susceptible to the situations like we just saw previously when Lumi decides to hard all in onto Cultist. There is no way she's going to escape the paranoia. That was a really scary hook right there from Lumi.
Yeah, one catch there could have ended it all. Countess, as you said, no cleanse, but it's actually not Countess. It would have been Tifa, who also doesn't have cleanse, but does have Pop Blossom. So I don't know if you necessarily want to grab them into your team. But right now, G2 starting to mobilize around this mid lane, and I think Xavi is who they have their eyes set on. But there are still a lot of members around. Dragon coming up in 45, and control is being set by Big Chroma.
But GT already here at the river. They already are putting their own wards. I want to see a little bit deeper wards from them at slightly more bot part of the enemy jungle, because that is when we saw in the previous game Renekton appearing from the shadows onto them, trying to shut them down quite a lot throughout the games around the dragons. But GT are back in business, baby. The dragon business is what I am talking about. They want to take the third drake of the game into their pockets, denying this whole point to beat Chroma. It's going to be an important milestone for them. The only thing is that Chroma, right now the top lane, is going to get destroyed and has a TP available, is going to TP with no mana whatsoever, but can recall back to the base because there is still a little bit of time before the Drake is going to come up and then go join the fight with the teammates. Or just stay on the top lane and threaten this inner turret of G2 Hell.
Yeah, and I'm interested that G2 are the ones on this dragon and it's not Big Chroma. I'm surprised that they've given this one up. Yes, they can get a bit of tower plating here, but I felt like this would have been a pretty easy place for them to trap G2 into a bit of a tough situation, but they are just going to go aggressively for this tower, and they're doing so much damage. Colombo, you might be under the tower, but the range on this team is insane. They pick up one kill, they get the charge, but here comes the minion, but that's actually Tifa. Here's the knockup. That's another one from the Scion, but the damage isn't there. It's now being turned around, and Scion will get away, but the Cataclysm comes in. Lumi's locked down, and Nocturne dives into the backline to pick up that one on the top laner of G2. Sheena will fall as well as the White Arcane is dropping bombs from the sky. Tifa burning down, but will just about survive. And G2, they tried to get back into this fight, but they were not allowed to by Big Chroma.
Very smart play from Big Chroma. They know exactly what the strength of their team composition are. They know that they have some of the power spikes already available for them, and they're going in super aggressively onto G2. They are trying to slow them down, and to be frank, they're quite effective at that. The gold lead is right now heavily in their, not heavily, but just in their hands at this very moment. And I feel like this play around the dragon from them, or rather the lack of play around the dragon from Big Chroma, really benefited them in the grand scheme of things, because they could threaten the mid lane, and because they forced G2 to answer them on the mid lane right after they finished the Drake, and their health bars were not exactly healthing too much, they could outpoke them quite happily. Also, I wanted to keep your eyes on Tress in this game, because Tress was doing some insane things here, going right under the turret. Looks like she's going to get a lot of damage on her, and she does get a little bit in the end, but she still survives, still provides the additional damage to her team, and after that still manages to somehow survive. This attempt from Tifa to kill her on the spot goes into paranoia to make sure there is no vision available for G2, especially when there is split around, and somehow even gets a kill in the end. That is so clean from Tress, it is as clean as it gets.
And also they're pulling Countess away from the fight, right? Splitting the vision, splitting the team up, and just leading to Big having an easy fight win there from a situation where they haven't necessarily been ahead in this game due to the fact that Sheena's been so proactive. But what I want to call upon as well is that we talked about it in the games yesterday. Sheena was able to pick up most of the kills and basically be a dominant threat. I do like that there's been a little bit more spreading out of that kills, a little bit of that gold going to Countess now, and a little bit going over to Lysia. But do we feel like there still hasn't been that optimization of getting that gold onto the carries, or is it still too early from Jisoo's perspective?
It's a little bit too early, but right now maybe it's going to be a change.
Chroma in trouble, gets knocked up there, and the tower they've decided to take instead, which may give some space. It doesn't. They are going to go down, but they did manage to pick up one in return, by the way. Shot Blast OP, managing to take down Colombo as they did set up for that dive. So a 1-for-1, and maybe even opening up the map. It looks like Big Chroma are going for Baron.
Ooh, that is a risky move, to be fair, but again, they have so much poke, they're going to outpoke G2 easily should they try to even approach the Peach right now. Lizzie is trying to withstand a lot of it, having the Jackshire already completed on top of the Sunfire, but oh my god, taking so much damage!
Depth charge, gets the knockup. Lysia trying to walk out of this one, but there is no escaping. The damage is done, the sound is gone, and that is another advantage gifted over to Big Chroma, and we saw She was there, but no one else from the team. They didn't want to get into a fight that would have not gone their way.
10-10 in the end in terms of the kills. Big are going strong. We have the replay of showing how much Cultist is suffering right now. Zeri is super low health champion, one of the lowest health champions in League of Legends. And she doesn't have a cleanse. She only has the heal, and she has the support who can try to heal her up a little bit in those fights. But if she's alone, if she is cut away from the enemy team, and if she's locked down, which is her biggest threat and the enemy, she is going to go down quite unfortunately. Cultist is not yet at the moment of the game where she's feeling strong. And by the way, this is going to be a full AP Zero build with this Night Harvester really wanting to take home these fights with the enemies.
Okay. Alright, I feel like it's been a while since AP Zero has been, been around. But Lightning Crash, it do be doing some damage.
To be frank, it'd be doing a lot of damage onto the enemies, and it's going to be quite big in the upcoming fights. I really wonder what the further itemization for Cultist is going to be. Is she still going to be committing into full AP build, or is some AD additionally the damage is going to be added? To be fair though, there is not really front lane for Big Chroma to try to cut through, so they don't need to rely on the AD damage so heavily.
I do agree with you, right? It's like, who do you need to cut through? Maybe Lumi, but she's a support. She doesn't get the same number of items as maybe a top lane tank. So again, I agree with you. There isn't the same threat that there could be if you had a massive tank that could just soak up all of that AP damage. So I do like the itemization. It also gives Cultists a little bit more range in these fights, right? Because they're not having to land those autos. It's more about landing those abilities. But range is still going to be an issue because we can see it right here. It's just so much agency for the side of Big right there. They have the Ezreal, the Jace, the Xerath, just able to do so much poke damage. Now, admittedly, a lot of it has been dodged by G2, and they're now going to step forward, but they can't get the engage. They can't get into that range, as we now see the fear on to Tifa. She was a minion. She then became Nico, but then she then got sent back to base, and it's another big win for Big Chroma. They can just hold the line so far away, not allowing any chance of G2 to step in, and now you just see them raining down damage upon this team time and time again with no answer from G2.
Unfortunately, G2 are just not able to find the answer. There was an attempt there with Tifa, but Tifa was so far away from anybody else on her team. There was no follow-up even ever possible from G2. So good attempt, a good pop blossom was never going to result into anything in that situation. But look at the health bars of G2. Big Chroma are securing themselves the approach to any objective they want just because G2 are not able to withstand a fight. It's not even a fight. The fight doesn't even start and they already don't have any health on them.
And they've not even got to like 3 items yet, you know? Like, I know that Pokemons aren't necessarily the late game dream, but when we do get that 3 item on things like the Ezreal, on things like the Chase, they are going to do so much damage. Now, this is a bold one from G2. They've already started this Baron, and it is going to be checked by the side of Big, and they've got all the information they need, and now they're going to start walking a little bit further forward, and Tress on the side is taking care of Tifa. Look at the damage the Nocturne is doing. They are going to try and give some support from Sheena, but there's the paranoia. They might continue this fight because they've got them so low. The poke is raining in. They just can't get into range, but they have forced away G2 once again, and they might be able to take some advantages from it.
They should get this turret. They should try to get as much of this turret on the mid lane as possible right now because they got a massive lead against G2 by not allowing them to go onto the Baron so aggressively and so silently, sneakily. What are these teleports coming in from G2? Don't tell me you're trying to have any further shenanigans around the Baron B, because I don't think it's going to work out nicely. Big have the Prio on the mid lane, Prio on the top lane, unless you're counting on the recalls from them, but they are counting on Chroma to be caught out.
Oh, Sheena has found the target time and time again. Good flash though! Chromac able to get away, but flash forward from Tifa gets the knockup from the Pop Blossom, and now the damage is starting to come down. Chromac cannot survive and is going to be picked up by G2.
And it's a good shutdown for Tifa. She is working her way towards the Rabadon's Death Cup. She needs a lot of gold to complete this item, sitting on the 2 needlessly large roads right now. Needs just a little bit of additional push. If this item is completed for her, this is going to be a massive boost for G2. But they're doing it again, J-Real. They're in the Baron pit.
Oh, right of the Arcane is doing so much damage as well. That's just 2 shots, and Countess is already getting low. What more might do it? Oh, Countess able to stay alive. The True Shot Barrage over the top as well, coming out, just causing big problems. And now Trez, they're going to spook them off. A little bit more paranoia going to be used, and it is going to send them back to base. And now it looks like Big's time to start this one up, but G2 are still capable of getting back into this fight.
There is a TP coming in there for Big Chroma, so they're going to bring in all the forces available to them. It's not Kaldis. Don't get fooled by that. She's on the duties of trying to get into the pit. Will she be allowed to do so, though? It looks like nobody really wants to commit on this Baron right now. Everybody's just abandoning the shape.
I think it's quite risky, right? From the side of Big, your whole point of playing is to keep people at range. If you're in the Baron pit and they can sneak up on behind you, it's just a bit of a risky situation. Instead, go mid, get that tier 2 turret, walk away. As long as G2 can't take it, you're still winning.
Because right now, G2 are under a very huge threat when it comes to the next couple of minutes of the game. Because in 2.5 minutes, there is going to be the Drake. If Big pick it up, it's going to be the soul for them. And a very nice soul to have in the upcoming fights. They're going to be healing up and they're going to deny G2 this possibility to try to heal out of all the poke coming out of Big Chroma. Look at this damage. Absolutely insane. Kaldis is not being allowed to play. But at the same time, with the inner turret going on their mid lane, it means that if Big Chroma commit to the Baron and take it, this is going to be the base turret out for G2 on the mid lane and most probably the inhibitor as well. G2 cannot lose sight of the Baron. They constantly need to be rotating some of their forces towards the top lane and need to keep these on the backs of their heads. This is a very big toll for them to try to play around. So Big are playing some really mental games here on the map.
Yeah, talking about mental games, Tifa B is often a minion in this game.
Yeah.
Like, that's enough. Like, the third time we've seen them in the last 5 minutes being a minion, and it is pretty scary, you know? If you've got the Nico, why not use that passively? You know, it's a lot of fun, it's a lot of danger, and they also managed to get a bot lane tower with the Winions there, so shout out Big Chroma getting that wave push in, and another tower will fall, which is extending their goal lead to 2k, which is still pretty close in general. We talked about the side of Big needing to get an advantage, needing to get a lead to set the poke come up. Do you feel like they've put themselves in enough of an advantage at this moment to be quite comfortable, or is it still a little bit open for G2 to come back in?
I think it's alright for them right now. They have the most important items for their main poke carries. They have the Jace fully accelerated with the Eclipse already completed. They have Vixen dealing an unholy amount of damage to the enemies, and then the Ezreal, of course, is doing the very Ezreal thing. So far for Big, it is a fine position to be. As we're going to be going later into the game, this is where the question is going to arise as to whether Kaldis is going to be able to get out of the situation where she's finding herself in right now. I'm not sure about how well AP Zeri is going to feel in this scenario. For sure, Zeri in general as a champion is not going to be fine because of the poke, but she's going to be getting more and more damage into her poke. So that's something for G2 to be looking forward to.
Yeah, and right now, next dragon coming up, Soul Point for Big Chroma. And they are looking to take this one. They are getting very much set up around this dragon pit. And look at the poke. It's already starting to rain in. This is going to be the story of this fight. Unless G2 can find some sort of flank, some sort of way to run past all of this poke, they are just going to keep having this battle, which is that they cannot get anywhere near range. Lysia is a tanky Scion, but is getting poked out so hard by this Ezreal, by this Zera.
Yes, it is a little bit too much of a poke even for a tank to try to sustain. And look at Big Chroma out poking G2, and now they are the ones at the dragon field already, and the dragon's going down super quickly, but Kalambabel is quick too.
That's risky. They've gone in for this dragon. They've gone for it, and the dragon is done just yet. The smite steal could come through. It's low, and it's going to be taken by Big. They get the soul, but can they win the fight as well? Kaltis in the mixer is trying to get the damage done, but look at the Cataclysm to go on top of Xavi. They're going to be able to pick that one up, and Sheena has taken down the ADC, but can they finish off this fight? So many members of Big are still alive. Lysia is running for the hills, but I don't think they're going to be able to get out of this one. The fear comes through. The damage is there. Chromac takes the kill, and 4 members alive for Big. Do they go for Baron?
They have to. They must go for the Baron. The only thing is Sheena is still alive. Sheena still has the smite available. She could, in theory, try to jump in and steal the Baron away from them. But playing on the blue side, it is so hard to jump into the Baron pit and try to sneak it away from the enemies because they see every approach and you cannot really try to out-sneak them trying to jump over the wall, and Sheena might just be dead now.
Oh, trying to get away. Chromac not going to go further, not going to play for the flash. Sheena does walk out of there alive, but as you said, now that they've been forced away, they can go for the Baron. But let's look at what happened in the Dragon Pit.
What happens is paranoia, and this is a massive tool for Big Chroma right now because G2, yes, they're going into the pit, but they're going in super spread out because, as you said before, they are trying actually to find some flanking maneuvers by releasing Tifa and Kalius, both of them, around the river, but they cannot really do it anymore because they don't see what's happening in the pit. They don't see their own teammates apart from those that are super close to them, and Big buy enough time because of that. Plus, the depth charge was already on Kalambabel, who was in the Dragon Pit, that gave, again, enough time for Trace to finish the Drake, to smite the Drake, and after the Drake is dead, Big can turn around onto G2, and G2 have still been spread out up until this very point. They are still spread out, and they cannot regroup and try to fight back with a Big Chroma.
I like this. I like this setup. You know? If you can't find a flank, maybe look for a cheese. Whereas we said a while back when we were on cast, if you want to stop the push, hide in the bush. You know, that was an old slogan from way back, and it feels like maybe G2 are trying to put that in motion.
They're trying to, but the thing is, with a Baron buff on the enemies, you cannot really let them do what they're doing right now. And Big Chroma are pushing through the top lane. 1, 2, 3, 4 members of their team are already there, with Jace being on the split lane, split push duties, and look at how quickly they can go through those lanes. Of course, there is still quite a lot of wave clear available to G2, especially thanks to Cultist being there as the Zeri, but Sheena, Mumblebee? Okay, that looks a little bit risky, to be honest, but Big right now, they can threaten the fight, but they don't necessarily look for it. They just want to open up the map and the base of G2 as much as possible while they still have the buff running for them.
G2, they're just trying to find any sort of engage, try and find any way into a fight without losing half their HP bar before they even step close. And right now, it is just the perfect moments for Big. They are the siege comp that you would love to play. They have the poke, they have the potential, and they are just pushing in these waves. But Trez needs to be careful here, going to be engaged on. Paranoia is going to be used, but they are not going to be able to get out. But the rest of the team is pushing into that base. They are trying to secure the objectives. Trez is staying alive for so long, and it's given enough time for the inhib to go down for the rest of the team, and they can just walk away from this one. Ultimates were used. Cataclysm already has been used. No mating against Sheena, as they are going to step forward, but here comes the Scion looking for the knock-up, doesn't manage to find it. The Pop Blossom only landing onto Lumi, and now we have to look at the rest of the team. The Ezreal is in a bitty trick of situation, but manages to stay alive, and the team comes back to help. Chromac now assisting their ADC, and the Scion is in a tough situation. Goodbye, you're coming back, but I don't think you're going to have much potential, because in goes the TP. Vixen is looking to end this game right now.
Oh yes, they wanted to get one thing. Oh my god, Cultist, I'm sorry, but that's a bye-bye situation for you, but it doesn't matter because your base is pretty much a bye-bye situation as well. Big wanted to open up the base of G2, but by the fact that Dress bought so much time for them, that's support versus AD carry, by the way, and so far the support is winning quite heavily. Lumi secure the last kill of this game, but Big are going big into this game. Number 1 against G2. Hell, they wanted to achieve so much in this game, but they achieved even more because they were so much cleaner than G2 in this game. They were so much more aggressive and proactive, and they used their tools in the ways that it was even hard to imagine them doing so.
And it looked like a really good start for G2, right?
Oh yeah.
Sheena got off the mark, got a few kills, they got that triple in the mid lane. There was ways that they were starting to break this game down, and I was a little bit like, damn, maybe Big Chroma have chosen a comp that is a bit too tricky to play, but actually they said, no, we are ready to go for this one. They're ready to take this one out, and they just looked very strong in game 1. But that is that done. We're going to be throwing to a break. We're going to bring Anna back. We're going to break this one down, and we'll get swiftly into game 2.